So, hello, whoever's watching. I hope you're fine and well. Um, I was watching. There was just some few things that I was talking about from experiences or chats that I've had with a few people that made me think, and some things that I've seen. And so it's these political ideas of people who don't. It was this uh, British guy who thought he was Korean inside, and then there's men and women who think they're if a man he thinks he's a woman inside, and these people who think that um, they are in the wrong body, or they are in the wrong country, or they were born in the wrong place, or they look the wrong way. Um, and so I just was thinking about how Jesus is the solution to that, and how his kingdom politics, in a sense, are kind of deal with all of those problems anyone could have with identity, nationality, or anything, even gender. And so in the scriptures it says, in Christ we're all one, and that our flesh, the fleshly things, the superficial things that people want to change to try to be accepted, those things we need to put it to death and find our identity in Christ. And in Jesus, every tribe, nation, language, and people are all welcome to come into the kingdom if we enter in through Jesus. And Jesus said he is the door, and that no one can come to him except through him. No one can come to the Father except through Jesus. Um, and so I was just thinking that a lot of people do these things to themselves. Some people are really cutting their bodies and hurting themselves and injecting themselves, or bleaching skin, or darkening skin, or changing hair or eyes, or surgeries and things like that. And I just so that they can feel accepted, I think, in whichever society they live in, or accepted maybe by themselves, or I mean, I don't know the full understanding of everything, but accepted or loved, or um, at home, or yeah, in the right skin, I suppose. And so in Jesus, we in him we have to take off the old man and put on the new man. And when we come to faith in Jesus, we're a new creation. The old has passed away, behold, the new has come. And it's not that old person with all those old sins and those old habits and old troubles. We're really a new creation. And it says, I think in the book of Ephesians, that Jesus came to break down the wall that divided people, and the wall that even divided Jew from Gentile, that he could create in himself one new man. And in Christ, male, female, slave, free, um, everyone is one with him. And this was Jesus' prayer, that we can be one in God. As he is one with God, that we can be one in Jesus. And it's this kind of unity, but it's not a unity that takes away people's God-given identities, or genders, or cultures, or languages. It's encompassing that, is in the sense that all are welcome. Whosoever believes in Jesus is welcome to enter into the kingdom of heaven freely, just by faith in him. And we're accepted in Christ because of what he's done for us. And I was just thinking that a lot of people are doing these things to themselves so that they can be either accepted, like I said, by themselves or by other people. Um, yeah, so this unity in Christ and the newness of Christ, and also this putting away the flesh, that when you're in Jesus, we put away the flesh, and we put away the old man and put on the new man. It's a little bit like putting on new clothes. And it seems that people are trying to deal with a problem that's much deeper and is a very superficial way, because the problem ultimately is that we're separated from, kind of in a way, ourselves and one another because of sin, and ultimately we're separated from God. And so Jesus came to bring us back together, to be one with one another in faith in Christ, and one with God again in relationship with him. He came to restore and reconcile and unite. And he set up the differences between people so that we can't unite against him. apart from Him. We cannot be united apart from Him. Yeah, so I just wanted to talk about that because I see people are doing harmful things to their bodies and to other people, and struggling with internal battles, and that our bodies are temple of the our bodies are temples of the living God, that God's Spirit comes to live in us, and that it says whoever destroys the temple of God, God will destroy. And I also just wanted to highlight the fact that the way that God has made us is fearfully. It says, I think in the Psalms, that we're fearfully and wonderfully made, and that we're also made in God's image. So, and the image of God is all encompassing of people with different hair colors, eye colors, skin colors, nationalities, languages. That all people are made in God's image, and that there's only one race, the human race, and this is the only way. And Jesus came to save everyone who is in the human race, and all of creation actually. He came to save. Yeah, so I just wanted to talk about that. And then there was also this other topic of some people still think that people today who live after the new covenant was made are still under the law. So when we read the Bible, it speaks a lot about the law, because during Paul's time, the law was still being practiced up until the destruction of the temple. And so in context, Paul is talking to people who are still following the old covenant. And today, everyone is under, they're either living by the flesh or they're living by the Spirit. And the flesh, those who sow to the flesh will reap corruption, and those who sow to the Spirit will reap everlasting life. And the Spirit of God is given freely to all who believe in Jesus as a gift. And the Spirit of God gives us power to live a holy life. And then it's Christ in us, who lives in us, who helps us be obedient to the law of love. We're not under the law and commandments and ordinances like of washings and sacrifices of the old covenant. We're under the law of love and grace and forgiveness, and also the law of faith, that we will need to walk by faith, walk by the Spirit. We're not under dead things. The law was considered dead and it couldn't make anyone perfect. Whereas now in Christ we have been made perfect, but we're also commanded to be perfect. Some people might view perfection in the flesh as maybe the perfect hairstyle, or perfect skin or eyes, but the perfection that is in the Bible is this kind of moral perfection. It's a kind of moral, legal standing before God, because the covenants are basically legal. It's a legal. It's like a legal document almost. The old covenant was, if you don't do this, that will happen. And so Jesus has fulfilled that old covenant and brought the new covenant, which we're saved by faith. And faith always was before the law was given. But the law was to bring us to Christ, like a school teacher. He was to take us to the end of the. He was to take us to Christ. Basically, the law was just to bring us home almost. But we're not under the law anymore, and no one has been under the law for 2,000 years. And so people might today confuse the works of the law, like with charity or church attendance, Bible reading, things like that. And these things are fine as long as you're doing it in faith, but no one is saved by those things. Those are not how people are saved. We're saved by faith in Jesus, and then we become that new man in Christ by faith in Him. And we put off that old man, old man that we had problems with, that old man of, maybe whatever the feeling was of a man in a woman's body, or a Korean in a British body, or, any problems that people knew there was something wrong and they didn't know what it was. We become a new creation in Christ, and we mortify the flesh daily. We put those desires of acceptance or beauty or wealth or acclaim or fame, we put all of that stuff to death. And it says, humble yourselves before God and He will lift us up. So a lot of the things that we have problems with is in this world is probably acceptance amongst men, whereas Jesus has made us acceptable with God. That we can stand before God without any blotch or spot against us. So it's like standing without shame, because of what Jesus has done, and in full acceptance because of what Jesus has done for us on the cross. And remember, Jesus was shamed and spat on, and many people will say he was even crucified naked. And this is the Son of God. He's the King. He's the King of the universe. He created all things, and he was shamed and shamefully treated. And it says he despised the shame, because of the joy that was set before him. And the joy was that we can then be the children of God because of what he had done for us, because of this great love that he had for us in our problems with our, sinful. It says, while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. So I think I've said these things before, but I just wanted to highlight some of these issues that I've come across, conversations that I've had, political ideas I've seen floating around, and how Jesus also solves those political problems that of nation against nation, and people against people, or male against female, or